Welcome everybody, this is Matt Monarch with the Raw Food World TV show, and whenever I recommend somebody to eat a healthier dietary lifestyle, 99% of the time, 99% of the time, I recommend someone to do a cooked whole foods diet void of all processed foods versus a 100% raw food diet. Although myself, I am a 100% raw food diet, in today's video I'm going to tell you why a whole foods diet is better than a 100% raw food diet, and then I'll give you my reasoning why I stick to a 100% raw food diet. Okay, you guys ready? I've been on a raw food diet almost 15 years, 14, 15 years. And what I went through to be where I'm at today, I would never wish upon anybody unless they were ready and wanted this. The life as you know it now needs to be completely dropped. There's just no other blatant way to say it. It's like you become a new person. And I'm not saying, oh, because you eat raw foods and this is a physical thing. This changes a person on many, many levels. And what we're going to go over today are the physical things that happen to a human being, the emotional, the social, and then sensitivities. And a person has to go through a lot of crap, to get to the other side and drop the life as they know it today. Alright, so here we go. And it's not necessary. There's nothing wrong in eating a cooked whole foods diet. You'll probably live just as long or even longer, which we're going to discuss also. There's only one reason why the raw food diet, well maybe two, is something to do. And if that's not for you, then it's probably, the raw food diet is not a better diet. It is not. Okay, so here we go. The physical aspects. The chaos of the root of one of the main issues is when we eliminate a substance from our intake or a food, we go through withdrawals. So, the more substances or foods you eliminate from your diet, the more withdrawals you're going to go through. And withdrawals are the same exact thing as detoxification. So when you go on a whole foods diet, the amount of withdrawals that you're going to go through is ridiculously lot less than if you went on a 100% raw food diet. It's easier to maintain. The retention rate's going to be higher. You're going to have less cravings. You're not going to become as skinny. And the list goes on and on and on. It's a mental, physical mayhem. And then you probably met many raw food eaters who, there's a lot of people into this lifestyle that eat whole foods, but they're not really on a 100% raw food diet. But every once in a while you meet the raw food eater and there's something wrong there. There's almost like they're mentally deranged in some way. No offense, like they're kind of like lost in this outer space or something. They're not grounded. When you go on a raw food diet, you become inundated with toxicity from these withdrawals. It's like going on a water fast because you're consuming food that is 90% water, and the withdrawals are ridiculous. So here you are, you go on a raw food diet, and you have ridiculous amounts of toxins running through your bloodstream. Additionally, you don't become satiated. That's another thing. You become more satiated on a whole foods diet. You're sitting there, hungry all the time, you overeat, it's mental mayhem, and then there's the emotional issues that come in. When you're fasting, you have to deal with these emotional issues. So when you're on a raw food, that's why it's called the detox diet. It's like going on a fast. Always, these things, the emotional stuff that we never want to look at, it's like painful. It's like sitting there 24 hours a day. It's more intense. And a lot of people don't get past this. So you're dealing with emotional stuff. You're dealing with withdrawals at the same time, stuff going through your, and this is why colon hydrotherapy, on a whole foods diet, you can get away without colon hydrotherapy because you're not going to be inundated with waste and toxicity, and let's face it, raw food eaters smell. They've got BO coming out of them, they're gas. On a whole foods diet, you're going to have less gas. Let's face it, if you tried raw foods, then or you've hung around a raw food eater before, you know that the amount of gas is going to be, did that just come out of somebody that exists on this planet? It's insane. So pretty much, on a raw food diet, it's almost like to have sanity. It's like you're bound to, at least cleanse your colon on a periodic basis. You don't have to do it often, but it's recommended, or it's unlikely you're going to succeed because you're just inundated with this waste. While on a whole foods diet, it's good to cleanse the colon, but you don't necessarily have to do it all the time. Just maybe once or twice a year, 4 times a year. And many of you probably have tried a 100% raw food diet because you've heard about it and you're like, wow, that makes sense. You become inundated with toxins running through your bloodstream. All of a sudden, all your emotional issues are there. You're hungry, you have to look at everything, and then the retention rate is not as high on a raw food diet, so we go back and forth and we swing the other direction. We don't really understand what's going on. We're not really looking. And this, my friends, is why a whole foods diet can make you more sane. And a lot of people on a 100% raw food diet, they don't necessarily know what they're doing. And on a whole foods diet, in the long run, I've seen many raw food eaters die at the same age as standard American diet people. And on a whole foods diet, you can become more balanced. And it's likely you're probably going to live longer, even though there's many factors and the creator decides, that sort of thing. So, don't get me wrong here. But you have the potential to live longer on a whole foods diet. And you're more balanced. And a raw foodist doesn't know what they're doing. They need to drink nourishment, like with vegetable juices. They got to cleanse their colon in order to succeed in the long run. While on a cooked food diet, when you cook carrots, you're getting more nourishment than if you eat raw carrots, because we don't chew like we're supposed to, and we don't unlock the nourishment. But when you cook food, it can do something like this. A whole foods diet is extremely healthy, and I recommend it to 99% of the people. Okay, so we kind of dealt with the emotional issues. You're sitting there dealing with it. We discovered the physical issues. And you thought that was bad. Let's move on to the social stuff. Now, if you look at a vegetarian has issues going out with their friends and going to dinners and restaurants and stuff like that. Now, if you think they have it hard, the vegetarian, imagine if you were a raw foodist. Your social life is done. There's just nothing you can do about it. Your family and your friends, they're in the system. They're listening to doctors. Seriously, it's like they're not going to support you, or they might say it superficially, but then you're hanging around them and it's weird. You're eating food at dinners with them, and they're kind of looking at you like, oh my God, he's judging me, and you're looking at them like, oh, they're judging me. It's just an ugly mess. And what happens is, your friends too, you go out with your friends and they think you're crazy, and then also this whole judging thing comes out on both ends, even though, whatever. So here you are. It's like you just got to break off from your current life. Like, I literally had to walk a path of my own, dropping all family, dropping all friends, dropping my job. You become skinny, so you look like, it's not, I feel like I look good, but what I looked like before, and then someone sees you now, like in 3 weeks there's a total change. There's something, people think you're unhealthy or something. So it's like, you just break out of that shell and you start a new life. And you don't need to do this. A whole foods diet, if you go on a whole foods diet, you're going to have to rearrange a lot, of course. But a raw foods diet, you're screwed. I'm just blunt here. This is what it is. Okay. So think about it. Okay, so now let's just top the icing on the cake. Sensitivities. Now, this concept isn't going to make much sense to many of you, and many of you are aspiring to be raw, so you're going to get angry at this or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, when you go on a raw food diet and you succeed, you become more sensitive. Now, we're going to start with chemicals and toxicity, and then we're going to go into the food of sensitivities. So, car fumes, cigarette smoke, perfume, just gas from machines and lawnmowers, going into the city, the toxicity that is generated on this planet damages a person on a raw food diet more because they're sensitive than someone on a standard American diet or a whole foods diet. Oh, how could this be? Your immune system's... Shut up! you're talking about. I'm not going to give my reasoning why. I've given examples, but this is how it is. It's like, if you were to take okay, I'll tell you the reason. Forget it. I'm not going to. Just trust me on this. So many of you who are on a whole foods diet now, who have embarked on a healthier lifestyle, we're going into the food sensitivities now. If you were to go to McDonald's, obviously this would make you sick because you've adapted to your new diet and you can sense this. This makes sense to you. So you become more sensitive, and toxicity has a larger impact on you. And the further you take it, me being on a 100% raw food diet, if I were to go to McDonald's, my life can be threatened because I've been doing this for 14, 15 years, and I'm extremely clean and sensitive. I've given examples of this guy Luigi Cornaro and things like this. I'm not going to go into this. I'm just giving facts today. I'm not going to back up everything. So you become more sensitive, and on a raw food diet, there's less margin for error. So here we go. Let's just wrap this up real quick, and then we'll talk about why raw food is good. You go on a 100% raw food diet. You go through massive withdrawals and detox. You're inundated like a toxic cesspool. Your emotional issues, there's just pain everywhere. You got to look at it for months and figure out how to deal with this sort of stuff. Socially, you're an outcast now. Your family and friends, just forget about it. And lastly, you become sensitive to toxic stuff. Why on earth would I choose to be a raw food eater? You don't need to do this. Whole foods, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you need to even heal from disease. If you just don't veer away. God willing, of course. So, with that being said, the reason that I personally choose a 100% raw food diet and the benefit of the raw food diet is when you do this, as I said, it's like fasting. It's a spiritual thing. And there are many paths into the spiritual. And this is just one of them, and it's not even needed. So you don't even need to do a raw food diet. I'm just an extremist, and I want to go all the way. So I like to not leave stuff there, and I like to deal with the emotional stuff. I want to be as clean as possible. So I like to be thrown into the nonsense and just... And when you do this type of thing with raw food diet, coupled with colon hydrotherapy, you receive more universal cosmic spiritual energy while at the same time stuck in this and have to figure everything out. And don't get me wrong, on a whole foods diet, if you were to do this and cleanse your colon periodically, you too will get more vibration. The further you take it, the more intense it is. So you don't need to go extreme, and this is why a whole foods diet is better. And another reason why a raw food diet is so good is because for people who want to heal from serious degenerative diseases, you've got 2 months to live. Okay, I've got 2 months to live, or 2 years to live, 1 year to live. You want to just go for it, extreme. Your life depends on it. Of course you're going to deal with this nonsense because this is what the issue is. So for healing from serious disease, raw foods and colonics every day when you're doing something like that, or you don't have to do colonics every day, but for other things, but when you're trying to heal, this is like the key. And then for the whole spiritual aspects. So don't beat yourself up. It's not easy being raw. Your life as you know it is gone, and just take it slowly. First, just do whole foods, and when you finally are there and you're never veering back, then you can take it to the next level if you want. But take your time. You've got years here. And this is my reasoning. Why I recommend to 99% of the human beings on this planet to do a raw food diet, a whole foods diet, versus a 100% raw food diet. And this is Matt Monarch. And we'll see you next time at the Raw Food World TV show.